LCSC students of History 101. Welcome to the class. And what is about to happen is going to be hopefully like a 15-minute intro to the class so that you can just get cooking. We're going to talk a little bit about the syllabus. We're going to talk a little bit about the Here's the Deal document. We're going to talk a little bit about Canvas. I'm kind of expecting you to have already gone through that and taken a look at things. This is just going to highlight a few things to get going. I'm going to use this video for a few semesters in a row in which the content is the same, but course dates might change. So refer to the written word on dates and things like that. Speaking of dates, the first set of dates is on the Canvas homepage, right? That's telling you when your exams are. Okay. Now, that means that the exam number 1, you can take any time between September the 21st and the 25th. Exam number 2 between the 26th and the 30th. Okay, you guys get that idea. That's for this particular class. Now, if we're using this beyond fall 2026, y'all's dates will have changed. These exams have to be proctored. You need to make arrangements today with the LCSC Testing Center or whatever the testing center is in your area, and you can contact the LCSC Testing Center about the different proctors and those kinds of things so that you can set it up for these weeks. Don't try to do it at the last minute and discover they don't have a spot for you. All right. Canvas, I assume almost everyone's familiar with this by now, but I'll just go through this a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm at in my video too. All right, the syllabus lives here, the modules here, the discussions here. I actually should do it like this. You guys are seeing my secrets. There we go. Syllabus, modules, discussion, grades. I should make this other stuff kind of disappear. You don't need any of it. Let's talk about announcements. Hopefully you've already read the announcements, right? It's the first day of class. It's probably how you came across this video. So go through the announcement, get a sense about what's here. Go check out the syllabus. Go check out the syllabus part 2 and get cooking with things. How to reach me. The best way to reach me for this particular course is through the inbox function for Canvas. Don't send it to my LCSC email. They have my spam filter super tight. Sometimes it catches you guys. If you do it through here, you'll have a record. I'll have a record. It's the best way to get a hold of me. There is no set meeting time. It's an asynchronous course, but we do have deadlines. Okay, you got weekly deadlines. So we'll get to a little bit of that, but pay attention for that. I'm just thinking here a little bit. Let's fire up the syllabus because the next thing I want to talk about is, to continue with how to get a hold of me. If you call that phone number, it's probably just kicking straight to a voicemail. However, Zoom office hours are awesome, especially for the distance students. And I run Zoom office hours quite frequently. You will just get tired of seeing the announcements. I put them on Canvas, and if you have your Canvas set up, which you should, to have the Canvas announcements kicked to your email, it'll let you know, Professor Martin's Zoom office hours are happening today between 9 and 11 or whatever, and you guys can pop on in. You're always welcome to pop on into the office when I'm around too. And we can make appointments if you feel like you need to meet with me. The course itself, I'll just go back to the exams for a second. I got a script here I'm working with that It's good enough. The course itself is divided into 3 parts. We're going to focus on the ancient world, then we'll take an exam. We're going to focus on the classical world, then we'll take an exam. We're going to focus on the medieval world, then we'll take an exam. It's easy enough, right? The syllabus itself, as you'll see, I don't approach this as like some kind of comprehensive world history. You got to get way down here to get into the details. You know, we pick some topics that have global implications and require us to think about the world at a global level. Because my idea here is not to have you memorize a bunch of dates and stuff, but to think conceptually in terms of like training your brain to think about the world and whatever kind of problems you encounter, whether it's in your job, whether it's in the news, whether it's just someone you're talking to, and to help like understand it using history as a tool for understanding the world around us. You guys can go through all this stuff on your own on the Gen Ed format, but History 101 fulfills a Gen Ed requirement. I'm a huge advocate of general education. I've been the committee chair a couple of different times. It has something to offer everyone, no matter what your major is, both in terms of content, but also in terms of the skill set that you pick up, in terms of learning how to work with data, learning how to work with conflicting interpretations, learning how to use the gray matter up inside your head. And all these kinds of things, you know, the reading, the writing, the thinking are transferable skills. So let's talk a little bit about the required book. Sorry, this is not like a Hollywood production here. Somewhere here, the syllabi just get longer and longer and longer. We get more required stuff to put in them. Your text, Kevin Riley, The Worlds of History, A Comparative Reader, Volume 1. All right. There's 2 different volumes. This class only works with Volume 1. There are 7 different editions. This class only works with Edition 6. Now, what that means is you shouldn't have to pay full price. It should be a relatively inexpensive textbook if you get onto the used online textbook market. If you're quick enough, there is a free copy waiting for you at the LCSC library, and you can check it out for the semester. I ordered 50 copies a while back, teaching 3 sections of this. If you're one of the first 50 students, you can use the book for free. I've never run out of copies. Doesn't mean this won't be the first semester to do it. It's an edited reader. It's not like a regular textbook. It's one of the reasons I like it. It'll have a couple of primary sources, like something from, you know, Hammurabi's Code and, you know, some pieces from the Epic of Gilgamesh for us studying ancient Sumeria. And then there'll be like a secondary source where somebody is writing about, a historian writing about ancient Sumeria. And then there'll be some questions for us to think about, like after reading these documents, what do we think about the role of, you know, the state in creating political organization in ancient Sumeria, or whatever it is, right? There's all kinds of different examples. But the point is, we're going to be using primary, second sources from the time of study and secondary sources written by historians. You guys are going to be focusing on developing some historical conclusions. So it's not, I'm not going to have a video of me talking every single week. Well, not lecturing. There is a video of me talking every single week. Okay, what else should we talk about? Grading, all that kind of stuff. Look, if it was only up to me, and I realize it is only up to me, but if it was only up to me, we would just do this class based on class discussion. All I really want is for people to read history, talk about history, make a good faith effort. However, I know that's not necessarily the way it works. So you're going to be graded 30% on your participation in the class discussion boards. There's some opportunity for extra credit there. And 70% overall on 3 different exams. The 3 different exams are straight up covering what you read. So here's the thing. It's important to me that you read. You read the documents. It's important to me that you show up to the discussion boards able to discuss the documents. And it's important to me that you show up to the exam able to prove, yes, I read the documents. You may use any handwritten notes you wish for the exams, okay? But here's the deal with the discussion boards. And then, well, let me kind of go through this. The first week, everyone's going to participate, all right? And then starting week 2, I've got you guys divided up into 2 groups. Half of you will be required to participate and get the discussion moving, make sure we get all the documents covered. The other half of you, you can sit back if you want, or you can participate. Now that I'll add that in for some extra credit as we go. When you participate, I need a citation. I need a page number from the book. I need a author said such and such, because in the end, you need to demonstrate to me that you actually read. So every single posting you do that is attempting to help me understand that you read needs to have a citation. And I'll just be honest about where this is coming from. Over the last 2 years in particular, the discussion boards have gotten just ludicrous with AI. It's not hard to detect. See my AI policy. We'll talk about that a little bit. I want 0 AI in the discussion boards. I want things that came out of your brain, even if they're not exactly right, even if they're not exactly super fancy words. I want to know what you thought about things. I do not care what a computer thinks about things. So I need citations on all your discussion posts. We can talk about that more if you want. If for whatever reason you start to fall behind on discussion boards, life happens. Reach out. Don't vanish until week 4. Don't vanish until week 5. Reach out. Keep me in the loop. Yeah, things happen sometimes. All right. Okay. Let me flip through the modules real quick. I'm not going to go through all of them. You don't need to see all of them. But it just gives you an idea. Let's just flip through this one on Mesopotamia here, right? You click on this thing, and there is a video to help set up what you're supposed to be reading about. So I've got one of these for every chapter. And then I got some optional stuff, and it's purely optional stuff down here at the bottom. And then once you have seen the videos about kind of what to look for while you read, your mission is to read. Then you click on this bad boy here. And if your last name begins with whatever the cutoff letter is through the letter Z, your mission is to talk about these documents, right? And so you pop in here and someone's going to say, well, I read Kevin Riley, Cities and Civilization, so I'm going to pop in here and start giving the breakdown about what that note was about or document was about. And then we're just going to have a discussion about the document. We'll have a discussion about each of the documents. Some of them are going to be easier to read than others, but they may all be on the exams. This is where your study guide for the exams are, right here. Someone will come up with some grand conclusions. We'll move on to the next week. If you are required to participate in the discussion, your initial posting on whatever the thing is will be up by the end of the day on Tuesday to get that discussion kicked off. You don't have to have them all up by then, but at least one. We need the discussion kicked off. And then by the end of the day on Saturday, you'll come back and have, made some follow-up postings. You can post as much as you want, but you don't have to go nuts about it, okay? All the modules more or less follow that format. Check out the Here's the Deal document that you can access through this first day of class thing. Just right here. Here's for some strategies about reading and the time commitment. But, in general, time commitment, this is going to be considered a 3-hour class per week with an additional 2 to 3 hours of study time, kind of depending on reading and all that kind of stuff, right? So, budget your time accordingly, but that gives you kind of the idea. But check out the Here's the Deal document for more details. Take notes as you read. It'll make your life so much easier. Take notes as you read. And come to office hours early if you don't really know, what's up. If there's no reason to get confused and to get stuck. Okay, there's probably a whole lot more I could talk about in previous versions of this kind of thing. I've gone on for like 30 minutes. I'm not sure that's very useful. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let things get cooking. You guys connect with me if you got questions, but I think once you get into it, momentum will take over. Welcome to the class and enjoy your historical studies.